Gentlemen!
Lester.
We have just made history.
I don't want to ask a dumb question here, but where's the metal?
I've got it on lockdown for a few days while I'm waiting for the go-ahead to melt it and move it.
Where?
Where? Exactly. Where is just the point. Let's say somebody gets pinched, well then where?
Hi, I'm Rob Cram, and today we're taking a look at Rockstar's expected re-release of last year's Xbox 360 and PS3 open world action game GTA 5, or Grand Theft Auto 5, given the game its full title. With a year gap between last gen and Xbox One PS4 releases, and many gamers coming direct from those consoles, it's become a bit of a norm for the bigger selling games to see a version appearing on next gen consoles. Ultimately, the question asked is whether it's worth spending money to play the same game all over again. What's different and enticing for players already burnt out on last year's effort? Well, aside from all the DLC for the game's GTA Online mode, the single player sees some visual upgrades, most notably a better draw distance, additional assets in the game world, a smoother and more consistent frame rate, and sharper visuals in 1080p. In a nutshell, combined, these add up to make the game a far more exuberant version and closer to Rockstar's vision for the game. That's not to say the last gen games are lacking, because at the time, the game was praised for its attention to detail. In this revised version, those details are simply much more apparent. The other major addition and enticement to jump in again is the option to play the entire game in first-person mode, making the game feel much more personal as you live and breathe every moment of the three characters, Franklin, Michael and Trevor. Players can now eye up lots of details up close that perhaps get overlooked in the usual third-person view, and with a slew of extra animations to suit the mode, the game takes on a more adventure flavour which is most welcome. Aside from the visual effects, which has to be said are pretty spectacular for the most part, the first person view is the main draw here, and whilst it's possible to customise viewpoints to suit, there's a distinct charm in tackling the entire experience from this perspective. In a way, it does make it feel like a new game, despite the copious amounts of familiarity. Sadly, it's not all good though, as the transition to first person comes at a cost. Most obvious is the turning speed and movement, which isn't as fluid as expected from a first-person game, making aiming and general running about feel a bit delayed. The shooting mechanics, which rely on cover-based approaches, doesn't blend well and is often a bit too cumbersome in the heat of a firefight. Players really have to work extra hard here, despite when it works, making encounters much more visceral and engaging with its handy lock-on system. Driving is a major tour de force in the game, and in first person looks great as the sense of speed and attention to the vehicle dashboards is excellent. However, the field of view, especially when cornering, is narrow, and with the many inclines across the city, there are moments where players simply cannot see what's in front of them. Combine this with some floaty handling, some dodgy AI drivers, and there's recipes for unnecessary crashes using this view, which is a shame. To combat these elements, players can simply have driving auto set to third person, but this takes away from what is mostly an excellent way to play. GTA 5 offers stunning visuals which upgrade from the original, but are still a bit lacking in up close details, especially some of the textures which are still low res and last gen looking. The audio also remains the same high quality here, with no need for improvement, although there's a healthy roster of new licensed music added to the numerous radio stations on offer, which is a bonus for returning players. Having played the entire game in first person and enjoyed every moment, despite some of the flaws here, it certainly has to be said GTA 5 is a worthy investment and upgrade from last year's game, which can only be fully recommended for those who've not yet sampled the game's delights already. In this regard, new players get the three main story arcs that link together quite perfectly, despite the overall tale being somewhat expected and cliché for most of its duration. Crazy caricature characters of previous GTA leading heroes, complete with an abundance of witty and sarcastic dialogue, excellent heist missions, which are the best part of the game, and tons of lengthy driving sequences to soak up the sights. With a plethora of side activities and collectibles to hunt down, coupled with a fully fledged online mode, and you've got a definitive vision of the GTA games over the last 13 years. For returning players, there's less to be excited for, as essentially this is the same game in a new skin, albeit a very pretty new skin. It's pleasant to revisit Los Santos, its surrounding areas, and to marvel at the visual clarity on offer. But once the honeymoon period has worn off, the reliance on a first-person mode is the only tangible hook. If this simply doesn't appeal, then the journey might feel a little too familiar and not worth forking out for so soon. If first person is all that's required to fire up your juices, then you're in luck, as GTA 5 comes across as an excellent first person role-playing adventure game set within a familiar and modern world. GTA 5 scores 9 out of 10. I'm Rob Cram, thanks for watching.
We're just leaving the gold. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold.
Hey, T, have a little faith.
Faith? In you, buddy?
All right, in Lester, in the process. Come on. We've been through it a million times. Any fool can take a score. It's getting away clean that makes the difference between those who walk free and those who do not.
Whew. Man, I wouldn't know what to do with that shit. I'm guessing you wouldn't either, man.
I'm sorry. I just have some trusting issues right now, frankly.